Welcome to Grow My Etsy Shop podcast, the drips of knowledge you need to start growing. Hey, Jared Robinson. Welcome, host of Grow My Etsy Shop podcast. Today we're going to be talking about AI. I am a digital marketer, I'm a growth marketer, and this is I work with AI all the time. And so if I was an Etsy shop owner, how would I bring AI into my Etsy shop to make it really start humming? That's what I want to talk about today. So AI is kind of a buzzword because people love the idea of having something else come in and do work for them. And so whether that's a task that you're doing on repeat all the time that you just want to off-put onto something else, or it's a skill set that you don't want to learn that maybe AI could come in and do for you, or it's something that you use a lot of brain power to do, and if this thing can just do it in less time, you save yourself brain power to be able to go do other things. In fact, this is going to be super beneficial to you if you're a business owner that is thinking ahead, because if you're the type of person who is trying to just be one step ahead of someone else, my dad has always taught me this principle. He says, Jared, you don't need to know everything. You just need to know more than the people paying you. And that's a really, really great way to think, because if I was to just look at, let's just say Etsy in general, am I the most knowledgeable person in Etsy? No. But do I know just because of my experience, maybe something more than someone else? Probably. And so I make content on that. And now here we are having a conversation. So let's get you caught up on what AI could be doing for you so you could be staying one step ahead. So number one, there's different ways of using AI. Most people use AI as a better Google. So they're able to come into AI, ask it questions, ask it stuff about itself, recognize that whether you're using ChatGPT or Grok or Claude or whatever, that it's remembering things that you are talking about. So it can draw back and expound on answers for you. And this is really, really helpful. This means AI is able to remember what it is that you sell and how you want to sell it. So having those open conversations and dialogue with directions on, hey, this is how I want to present my product. This is who I'm trying to target. This is why I'm trying to target those people. Here's why I think this angle can work really well for me. Help me be able to do that. Then what happens is, as you're bringing in new products or new ideas, it's going to loop in your overall vision that you have. And so this is what makes it better than Google, is that you're no longer just looking for an answer. You're looking for someone who's going to curate their answer based on your desires, which means if you're using AI, please don't use it like Google. AI gives you the unique ability to be able to have a long-lasting version of what it is that you're looking for. So you're going to want to use it that way. Okay, I'm a growth marketer. We use AI all the time. And so I'm a little bit more in that tier of, do I have agents that, yes. Do you want my opinion? Here's my opinion. Agents are really great and the worst employees I've ever had. And so sometimes I'm like, wow, that was fantastic. That's so much faster and better and cheaper than it would be if I had a human do that. And I didn't have to do it. That's fantastic. And then there's the other side of it, which is like, dude, you almost derailed this whole... I will share a quick story with you. I had an agent go into a CRM, and it was supposed to that every time a specific employee made an outbound call, it would record that call and send it to the owner. They were a little concerned that this employee wasn't doing the sales pitch properly. So they just wanted to be able to hear it. And so, hey, notify us when she makes a call and then let us listen to it. And I sent my agent in there to go do that thing, and it made it so that all calls in the entire company were being sent to the CEO. And luckily, we caught it before it went live. And you could, like a normal human, like it had to go out of its way to do that. And its logic was like, well, I couldn't figure out how to do it, but I could figure out how to do it like this. So I did it like this. It was like, whoa, dude. So that you are working with something that has logic and reasoning, but yet doesn't have that human touch that what we're doing. And so there was a big wave of, hey, AI is going to replace, and everyone was firing to replace for AI. And we're even seeing now so much more companies cutting back on their AI usage. And this is the reason for it, is they're starting to recognize by the time we fire people and bring in AI, it can't do it. So we have to keep people in and then have them use AI. And then what happens is the people stop thinking because they're relying so much on AI, and then they pull a lot of resources from AI, redoing a lot of the things that they could have done faster if it was just them in the first place. And so now they're having this battle of, well, now we want to restrict the amount of AI usage employees can use, so that way they're using more of their brains more. So you can see there was this big push at one point, and that we're starting to kind of come more center with what AI is to us today in August in 2026. Okay, cool stories, Jared, but I logged on to hear how AI is going to bless my life as an Etsy shop owner. Great. Fair request. I hear you loud and clear. Let's talk about it. So the reason I wanted to structure that is that I need to build your understanding of how much you should trust and use AI. And I hope that when you hear stuff like that, you're kind of like, okay, I'm not willing to put my whole Etsy shop on risk so that I can sit there with my feet up, eating bonbons and watching Felix the cat. I need to be heavily involved and using it as a collaborator instead of something that's going to replace. We love the idea of something that's going to replace. I'm telling you right now, it wouldn't be wise. But there's a really great way that you can test sort of this agent feel, which is giving something a task and allowing it to do it. And that's through Claude. So Claude AI allows you to download an extension onto Chrome. And what that does is that when you speak to Claude in your chat area, it can take access of your Chrome tab. This is unique to what other things can do. Like, for example, I know a lot of you use ChatGPT. ChatGPT has something called agent mode, which if you were to select it, it opens its own browser within ChatGPT, and then you have to log into everything through that. And a lot of times it gets flagged because the software, whether that's Etsy or whatever you're using, recognizes that there's this weird bot that's coming through on an unfamiliar browser. And so it stops its ability to do things. What is unique to Claude is that it takes access of your computer. So all of your track record, all of what you're doing, the trust that you have and everything. And so then it's acting as if it's you. So essentially you can get around a lot of the blocks that websites have for this kind of bot traffic. So Etsy has one of the tightest APIs I've seen. Like, they're very selfish with what they allow things to happen. It's why software isn't always the best when it comes to Etsy. We would really like to have something that comes in and can house a lot of Etsy data for us and make it really great, but they're really stingy with it. And something like Claude allows us to say, well, hey, go log into my Etsy and go look at my stats and then have a conversation with me. And it will. Here, I'll make a little screenshots here for you. So follow along. All right. I got a funnel of never-ending Jareds here. So I opened up my Grow Etsy shop, Jared. You know what? I'm going to go change my shirt. Okay, I couldn't find the shirt. I ruined a perfectly good joke. Okay, so here we are. I'm looking at my Etsy thing. Now, if I log into my back office and all that stuff, it would have access to that as well. All you do is you click this little icon that's up in the corner here, and boom, you've got this thing that's opened up to you. And you can, from right where you are, give it a task and say, hey, can you go in and look at my Etsy traffic for the last whatever years and put something together for me that shows me my best ranking headlines versus my worst ranking headlines. And you'll see it. Click through and look and do it. It takes access to your computer. Now, what I'm going to suggest to you is get two monitors if you're not using two monitors, because if you have one that's kind of working, then it gives you the opportunity to work on your other one. Now you can, because what it does here is you'll see it groups a tab. So I can technically be in this tab and be totally fine. You can't see me as I moved over, and be working, but I can't watch it. So you're going to want to kind of see what it's doing to make sure. And every once in a while, I'll jump in here and be like, hold up, bro. Or, sometimes I even help it because sometimes it gets stuck in loops, and I'll kind of jump in there and just start clicking around for it because I know what it's trying to do and it's taking time to do it. So this is also connected to your Claude chat. So just if you have the desktop app, you can open up the desktop and be like, hey, can you log into my thing? And off we go. So I want you to start now. We're starting to think Etsy here. So let's move back to my podcast format. So with this new understanding of that, it can be literally looking at our page. We could be logged in, we can be creating a listing, and we can then open Claude from there and say, hey, can you finish this listing for me? Or can you take these headlines and plug them into these 6 new listings that I create? So for example, if you could upload the pictures, yes. How it works is you have to give it access to a folder on your desktop. So if you download the Claude app, then it's on your desktop. And then from there, you can create projects or connections. And then you can give it access to a folder. So I have a folder that it has access to. And anytime I have images and stuff, I drop them into that folder. And then I'm like, hey, when you're building this, can you use those images from here? So you can essentially load it all into a folder. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, Jared, teach me how to do this, just have Claude teach you. So just be like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm looking to do. Can you help me walk me through the steps on how to do this? And it will walk you through how to do it. And then as you start to draw on, that's when you can then start to just be like, oh, can you do it? Instead of help me do it. So I'm getting to a spot where, yeah, I might be turning into, what's that show? They're all driving around and, is it Meet the Robinsons? Is that what it is? I should know this. My last name's Robinson. They're all driving around. Wally? I think it's Wally. They're all driving around in the fat things. And yeah, I could feel myself starting to get there because a lot of times I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get this thing. And then it's like, yeah, here's your solution. I'm like, oh, that's easy enough. Why don't you do it? And then it's like, well, I can do it. And then it does it. I'm like, okay, here we go. So with that, this means that you can brainstorm, you can train your Claude to write SEO the way you like to write SEO. You can have it think, because here's what Etsy lacks is that Etsy can do a lot of the things better than what an AI bot is going to do. So a lot of the software, the things that are, for example, if you're like, oh, I want it to create messages for me that I can send. Now, what you can do is if you're a shop that gets a lot of messages is that you can open up your message, drop it into Claude and just be like, respond to this. And it'll be like, blah, blah, blah. And if it's got your voice and your tone, you take it, paste it, you're good to go. Could you technically be like, hey, Claude, read the message, go through, write a response for it, send it? Yeah, you could. It would take longer and it might screw up, but it would do that. But if you're getting a bunch of stuff of people asking you about shipping, could you say to Claude, here's my stuff. It's open. Can you go through and see all the people who are asking about the shipping? Go see when their stuff is going to come. Like, go click on the link and see the date, see if there's any issues. Flag the ones that have issues for me. So tell me the names of the people that have the issues. Tell me the ones that are arriving and their arrival date. If it's just, if the website's updated on their arrival date, go tell them that date, apologize for any delays, and that you don't control the post office. For the ones that are showing that the post office hasn't received it or that's just stuck in the post office with no date, flag those to me and let me look at those. Could you do that? So if you're someone who has hundreds of orders a day, that could be nice. And so that's where something like that could be really useful. Another thing I want you to know is that it will open new tabs in that group. So if, for the shipping example, if it was clicking the links and it needed to know when those were coming, it doesn't have a problem using your internet to figure out when all that is. It'll open up new websites. It'll look things up and stuff like that. So it's not just stuck in your tab. Once you give it access to your browser, it will open tabs to figure out answers. Now, this is the part where you get excited. You hear something like that, you're like, oh my gosh, but I need to bring you back down to earth, which is that it will take longer to do what it's doing. And if you find yourself just watching it, you're watching something take longer than it needs to take while you're doing nothing. So it's really important that you have something that you're not just saying, well, I don't want to do that, so why don't you do it? And then you sit and watch it. You instead get to say, hey, I know what I can be working on, or I could be, for a lot of us, fulfilling the orders. I can just watch for a second. So you can kind of be watching it as you're fulfilling orders. And now you're using it correctly, okay? Because it's going to take longer. It's going to have some learning curves to it. But it can start to do a really good job for you at a more risky, slower pace. It's a good way to say that. So I never watch my videos back, but in this scenario, I wanted to make sure that I hit a point. I couldn't remember if I hit it or not, so I watched the video back, and you can hear me banging my desk the whole time. And it's because, look, this is the way my microphone is set. See how it's upside down? So I'm so sorry. That's probably been years. Like, you could just hear me banging my desk, but I use my hands so much when I talk so I'm going to be really careful not to hit. And then my next podcast, I'll bring my mic up so that it's more pointed towards my face than it is my desk, because apparently I'm just doing a drum solo over here. Now, I know what you're thinking, because you're thinking, well, Jared, I'm watching on YouTube and it's edited. So how do you not go back and watch this? It's because I talk, and then when I start rambling off a thing, I just like, well, that's done. And then I hit pause, and then I hit finish, I drag it in, I cut the end off, and then I hit record and I start a new sentence. That's the way I record these. So it saves me a lot of time that way, but that's why it's not the most polished podcast you're ever going to see. Here's my mindset. If I'm an Etsy shop owner, I'm going to do the things that Jared talked about today. I'm doing it. I'm getting the Claude extension. I'm going to drop this thing in. I'm going to start to play with some of this stuff, because anything that can take off this edge while I fulfill orders, especially if this is what you're doing, you're someone who's in a shop who's fulfilling orders, I can be on Etsy. Now, Etsy rewards those who are on Etsy. So if you got a mouse moving around and you're looking at data, even if it's just, hey, scrape the data, let me know what's my lowest performing listings are. Hey, can you update the tags to match some of my better? Ooh, I just thought of a really good one. You could probably have it do research for you on Etsy. So you'd be like, hey, can you go through and find 30 listings that are ranking higher than me under this keyword? Can you analyze those listings, put together some thoughts, see what, if you see anything that's common with their headline that I could be implementing in my store? And then it'll go, yeah, sure, click, 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 and then it'll say, here's my report, and then here's the key. Because this is what I love, is that I have Claude or AI write its own prompts. So once it's like, here's everything I know how to do, I would say, break down a step-by-step list for me on how I should solve that. And it would say, well, you probably need to do this, probably need to do this, probably do this, probably do this. And then I say, here's your step-by-step guide. You go do it. And it says, does its thing. Okay. That's what I would start doing if I were you. I would start using Claude. I don't think it's going to, you're like, hey, I'm going to just relax on the beach, run my Etsy shop for you. We're not there yet. I think I just hit my desk, I'm sorry. But what I want you to do is start to explore what this looks like, because we want to stay one page ahead. And this is a good way that we can do something like this. Now, if you're on YouTube and you use AI, can you tell me how you use it? I'd love to see. I don't have an Etsy shop today. I work with Etsy shops. I'm a growth marketer that comes in and helps them use online principles to grow their Etsy shop. Do I own one today? No. So if you're in it today, you're in the weeds, you're using it. How are you using it? And this will be helpful for those watching the video. They're able to go down and be like, well, how are other people using it? And what success are you seeing, or what frustrations are you seeing? So that way we can just kind of be on the same page. This is one of those topics that's like, there isn't like a vault that has the answer to it, right? It's evolving as we go. And so having a community of people to be able to kind of write in there and say that kind of thing. I know that sounds like I'm just trying to get engagement on my YouTube, but I promise it is for the good intent of the people. So if you're listening on the podcast, if you don't mind jumping over, especially if you're using AI. If you don't use AI, I could care less what you have to say. Just kidding. But if you, for this purpose, I want you to go in there and just be like, hey, this is how I'm using it. This is the structure that I use, and it's really, really great. And if maybe I might have a conversation with you, if I feel like you're using it in a really good way that would be beneficial for Etsy shops, I can maybe extract from you some information that to help others. Okay, till next week. Oh, I do want to throw this in here really quick. I think it's good to know. So Claude has usage limits. So as you use it more, it takes more tokens, and then it hits a cap. So based on what you're paying, you get more usage out of it. So I paid the $100, whoa, big spender Jared, on this, and it's enough for me. It works. I used to be on the $20 plan, and I started hitting my cap. But I learned some techniques during this. Number one is, the longer you're in a chat, the more it has to pull information from that thread, and the more tokens it uses. And so I started using different threads and just bringing over work to it individually, so that it would just start fresh and it pulls less tokens, because it didn't have to go back and reread everything that we had talked about. So the tokens that you can use throughout a time period resets, I think it's every 4 or 5 hours or something like that. And the clock starts when you start pulling from it in a usage base, meaning it's doing work for you. And if you finish all your work that you're trying to do within that, I think it's 4-hour window. In that 4-hour window, let's just say it takes you 3 hours and then you hit your usage cap, then you only have to wait 1 hour before you could pick up right where you left off. If you work it and then leave and then come back, and it's been 6 hours and you're like, hey, go again, it'll hit its cap, and then it won't, and then it'll reset for another 4 hours. So I've learned, once, if you're going to use it as much, run its data through in the 4 hours, because it'll just reset every 4 hours. So when I was cheap, I used to just set a timer on my stuff, come back in and say, hey, do this, and then come back in, hey, do this, hey, come back in, do this, and then finally I was like, dude, I'm just gonna pay the $100. And now I don't ever hit that problem, and it goes. So that's where I'm at. I just wanted to share that with you. Oh, I got one more thing for you. This will waste your time faster than anything, but it's kind of cool. If you don't have a website, you can say to Claude, build me a website, and it will. Give it your Etsy stuff, give it your vision, give it what you want. Just say, build it. and it'll write it all in HTML, and you can then plug that into any WordPress site or whatever. So could you have it built on a Shopify? You could, because you could do the agent mode that opens it up and be like, hey, drag and drop or whatever, but it's going to really funnel itself. It wants to talk to the computer. It doesn't want to drag and drop. So it's going to probably write most of it in code. But if you just want to get a vision of how cool your site can look, just say, build this. And it will send you an HTML landing page that will be really nice. And then you can be like, oh, I'm going to use this as a mock to go build what I want to build. So fun stuff.